Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. From time to time, parents will post in the Reconnection Club forums about accusations their adult children have made, and they wonder how to handle accusations that seem to be either partly or completely false. They know validation is important, but how can they authentically validate a version of reality they don't recognize? So that's what I want to talk about today, is handling accusations that seem baseless. These may range from very specific, such as saying particular words that were hurtful, to very broad, such as treating the child like a friend instead of a child, or being too critical in general. If you've been accused of something that could get you into legal trouble, then you'll want to seek legal counsel about how to respond. This episode is about addressing accusations in ways that enhance emotional connection, but I'm not qualified to advise you on how to handle accusations of illegal behavior. So if the accusation is serious enough that you could be prosecuted, this episode will not provide you with appropriate guidance. Please seek legal advice instead. The kinds of accusations I'm focusing on today are claims about gaslighting, gossiping, criticizing, neglecting your child's needs, saying particular things, favoring a sibling, and those sorts of behaviors. And these types of accusations are very common in estranged relationships between parents and adult children. If your child is inclined to communicate, and especially if she's been in therapy and picked up some language around family dynamics, you will probably hear some accusations at some point. They may be delivered very gently or not so gently, somewhere along the spectrum, but you'll know when you hear one. Let me point out that you don't need to worry that you can't go back and change whatever happened. That's not necessary for you to help your child heal. Accusations in many cases are less about the past than you might think. Your most important behavior toward your child is in the present, including how you respond to accusations that don't make sense to you. For more on that concept of present versus past, listen to episode 46. It's called You Can't Change the Past, But It Doesn't Matter. And that's at reconnectionclub.com/46. When you are accused of hurting your child in any way, if you're statistically normal, this will be an unpleasant experience. Your heart rate will increase, your breath will become shallow, and your body will go into fight, flight, or freeze mode, making it difficult to listen and function at your best. So it will take effort to respond to accusations as if they were opportunities for connection. Accusations feel like exactly the opposite of that. They feel more like personal attacks that push you away rather than bringing you closer. But accusations from adult children are, or can be, requests for connection. Let's say you and I are friends, and I hurt your feelings. If you are done with our relationship because of my behavior, you're not going to spend energy telling me what I did wrong. If you don't care about us staying connected, you can just walk away. And then it's up to me, if our relationship matters to me, to come after you and try to make repairs. But if you come to me with complaints about my behavior, I can take that as a sign that I matter enough to you, that our relationship matters. And all you want to do is heal the rift between us so that we can feel good again. So assume that's what's going on with an adult child who's accusing you of hurtful behavior. The disconnect between you is a problem for your child, and he's giving you both an opportunity to work through it. So how do you do that if you don't recognize or agree with the behavior you're accused of? The most healing thing you can do with accusations you can't relate to is to adopt the attitude that they absolutely did happen, even if your memory doesn't support that. This is not to say that your child is always right about exactly what happened. We have way too much research on memory to believe that anyone's recall is 100%. Also, you don't have to say you did something that you don't remember doing. But for your purposes, assume that it did happen, just in your mind. There's a reason you want to adopt that attitude. It's because it will enable you to lead with empathy and regret for your child's pain. This is the most healing response you can offer. And if you prioritize reconnection over vindication, you'll want to act as if what your child is saying were true. So your response might start out with something like, "That sounds really hurtful. I'm so sorry." If you lead with empathy and remorse, then, if you genuinely have no recollection of the incident, you can continue with something like, "I wish I could remember what I was thinking and what led me to act like that." Now at this point, because you're expressing empathy and openness to the claim, you can reasonably ask, "Can you help me remember by providing some more information?" Don't ask for information in order to dispute the facts or to decide whether it's true. That will send this opportunity right down the drain and possibly set you back even further than before. Even if you ask gently and respectfully for information, your child might not be willing to rehash events that were painful for her. And as difficult as that is from this end, that has to be acceptable. Some people who feel hurt want to process what happened, but others want to put it behind them and don't respond well to being questioned about details. So if your child isn't willing to go into detail about an accusation, just go back to empathy and remorse and wishing that you could remember. If your child is open and full of details, then you can ask for information. When did this happen? What else was going on at the time? The more you dig into details in the spirit of trying to remember, the more good things will happen in the service of mutual healing. First, the two of you will be communicating. Second, if something along the lines of what your child is describing did happen, more details will help you put two and two together. Third, talking about the incident in a little bit of depth will help you see things as your child did and find empathy for his pain more easily, which could inspire a very good apology from you that might open the door even further. And fourth, if it never happened, or if it was someone other than you who did the hurtful thing, in thinking more about it, your child may realize that. And if it seems like a completely made-up, cynical attempt to hurt you, I would ask myself, why would my child want to do that to me? The incidence of estranged adult children making things up is minuscule compared to reporting things they actually believe. So even if you don't recognize your child's account of what happened, it really behooves you and helps the relationship for you to assume that something did. In my view, it's better to believe 100 false claims about hurtful behavior than to dismiss a single claim that's based in truth. Nobody gets hurt if you respond with compassion and understanding. Let me summarize what I've talked about on this show. If there are legal ramifications to your adult child's accusations, you should seek legal advice rather than, or certainly before, implementing the ideas that I've shared in this episode. In general, it will help your relationship if you assume that even implausible accusations are based at least in part in reality. Whether it is or it isn't, openness, compassion, and remorse are the most appropriate response in any relationship that you want to improve. So try to respond with as much empathy as possible. Your child is in pain over this. let their pain command more of your attention than the facts of the matter. By the way, I did another episode, number 92. It's called Playing into an Estranged Adult Child's Delusions. I recommend giving that a listen as well if you really don't recognize what your child is saying. I'd like to leave you with a reminder that you don't have to be a terrible parent or a bad person to have caused your child pain. All you have to be is human. So please don't take any accusation as a condemnation of you, even if it feels that way. Recognize instead, or at least consider, that your child is presenting you, albeit in a challenging way, with a path to reconnection. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.